Portals opened on a single day, not in one place everywhere. Seoul, Busan, Tokyo, New York, London, everywhere at once, at 7:42 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, as if someone had pressed a button. Purple tears in the air from ground to sky as wide as a house, with that characteristic hum that people later described as the sound of the universe cracking. They came out of the portals. Orcs huge, green, with tusks and wearing armor that looked both ancient and practical. Elves tall with pointed ears looked at humans with the expression that journalists later called mutual misunderstanding. Goblins noisy, curious, immediately started climbing into every electrical outlet. Cat people, wolf people, fox people races with human appearance and non-human details. Demons with horns. Dark elves with white hair. Creatures without names and human languages that were later given names. The war lasted 93 years. Not because everyone wanted to fight, but because no one knew how not to fight when someone incomprehensible was nearby. Then they learned. Slowly, through treaties and catastrophes, through generations that grew up together, they learned. Peace was signed 100 years minus 7 ago. It is now 2024. Seoul is a city where an orc takes up 1.5 seats on the subway, and everyone has silently agreed that this is normal. Where coffee shops have menus in 4 languages, including Dark Elvish. Where catgirls work in offices and complain about deadlines. An ordinary city, in which lived an ordinary loser. Park Jong-soo learned about the inheritance on Wednesday. On that same Wednesday in the morning, the foreman was yelling at him for crookedly laid tile. At lunch, he discovered that the air conditioner in his one-room apartment had broken for the 3rd time that summer. And in the evening, an electricity bill arrived for an amount that made him sit down on the floor right in the hallway and stare at the wall. 28 years old, construction worker. A salary that was enough for rent, food, and 1 coffee a week as a small luxury. A phone call at 2014. Mr. Park Jong-soo? Yes, this is the Hansong Notary Office. You are the sole heir to the property of Park Gi-chol, who passed away on the 12th day of the current month. Jong-soo was sitting on the hallway floor and looking at the bill. Park Gi-chol is your second great uncle on your father's side. A distant relation, but there are no other heirs. Pause. He left property to you. A shop. A shop? Yes. Pak Store. Mapo District, Yeonsan Alley, house number 4. A specialized store for goods for non-human races. Jong-soo looked at the bill. For monsters? For non-human races, the notary corrected gently. The legally correct term. Yes, said Jong-soo. Sorry, for non-human races. He arrived the next day. Yeonsan Alley was in the part of Mapo where old buildings had not been demolished but had simply stopped being noticed. Narrow, paved with the smell of old wood and something spicy. On both sides were little shops. A potion shop with a sign in Orsish, an amulet shop with the dark elven calligraphy, a small restaurant with a menu from which Jong-soo recognized only the character for meat. House number 4 at the end of the alley. A 2-story building, old with wooden shutters warped by time. The sign above the entrance was faded with peeling paint. Pak Store. Goods for all races. Below, in small letters, since 1987. The lock was old, mechanical. The key from the notary's envelope fit on the second try. Jong-soo opened the door and entered. The smell hit immediately dust, old wood, something dry and herbal, and something else indefinable. As if the scent of dozens of different beings had accumulated over the years and become part of the walls. It was dark inside. He found the switch, the light flickered, came on. A large room, the first floor shelves from floor to ceiling, packed with goods. He walked around slowly looking at price tags and labels. Strengthening oil for horns. For demons and minotaurs, 500 milliliters. Elven thread, silver for repairing light class armor. Spices for orcish cuisine, basic set. Shampoo for tails and ears, for cat, fox, and wolf people. Hypoallergenic. Polish for tusks, professional. Jong-soo stood in the middle of the store and looked. A trading system that someone had built for 37 years and had clearly abandoned. Dust on everything. Some goods past their expiration date. The windows, it seemed, had not been washed for the last few years. The cash register was old, mechanical, with a receipt sticking out of the slot like a bookmark. The last receipt was dated 22 months ago. The store had not been operating for almost 2 years. Jung-soo sat down on the only chair by the register. Thought. Stood up. Found a mop in the back room. Started cleaning. Cleaning took 3 days. Not because he worked slowly, but because the store turned out to be bigger than it looked from the outside. The first floor was the sales area, a back room, a small toilet. The second floor was the old man's living room, small, with a bed and a desk, and another room that turned out to be a storeroom with goods that, apparently, the old man had never managed to put on the shelves. System. Stop. No system. This is another story. Jung-soo was simply cleaning without a system, without magic, without notifications in the corner of his vision. Just a man with a mop, a bucket, and a growing feeling that he had taken on something bigger than he had thought. On the second day of cleaning the first visitor, Jung-soo was just wiping the display window outside in jeans and an old t-shirt when a woman came out of the alley, about the height of an ordinary person. But her ears were pointed, slightly stretched upward, sticking out of red hair gathered into a careless ponytail. A real tail, fox-like, red with a white tip, peeked out from under her jacket. Her ears twitched when she walked reflexively on their own. A fox person. More precisely, a fox girl. A kumiho, according to old Korean classifications, although they themselves did not like that word. She stopped in front of the display window, looked at Jung-soo, looked at the sign. Back at Jung-soo. "Are you open?" she asked. "I'm cleaning," he said. "Is Pak's store working again?" "I don't know yet. I'm figuring things out." She looked at him with curiosity that was a little animal, a little human. One ear twitched. "You're not Mr. Gi-cheol," she said. "No, I'm his grandnephew. He died." "I know he died," she said. "The neighbors said so 2 months ago." Pause. "That's a pity. He made the best tail care in Seoul." Jung-soo looked at her tail. Tail care? Special oils, combs, treatments? She touched the tip of her tail. "I've been coming here for 8 years. There's nowhere else ordinary pet stores are not the same, and there are few professionals." Jung-soo looked at her for a second. "What is your name?" "A. Ryeom," she said. Her ear twitched. "C-O-A Ryeom." "Pak Jung-soo." Pause. "I'll try to open. Give me a week." C.O.A. Ryeom looked at him appraisingly with that special squint that fox people have when they are deciding whether to trust or not. "All right," she said. "A week." She turned and went down the alley, her tail swayed behind her in rhythm with her steps. Jung-soo watched her go, then returned to the display window. On the third day of cleaning inventory, he found his grandfather's notebook in a desk drawer on the second floor, thick with small handwriting. Goods records, suppliers, regular customers, notes. The notes were separate entertainment. Gorin C. Orc, 2.1 meters, likes discounts do not give, pretends to be poor. Armor oil once a month, orcish spices every week. TL, dark elf, comes strictly in the evenings, does not like bright light. Silver thread, moon oil for skin, sometimes asks for rare herbs. C.O.A. Ryeom, kumiho, red-haired, young. Products for tail and ears, regular. Good girl, brought me soup when I was sick. Jung-soo stopped at the last note. Good girl, brought soup. Grandfather had run this store for 37 years. Knew every customer by name, by preferences, by character. Jung-soo looked at the notebook, then at the store around him. Cleaned but still neglected. With goods some of which were still usable, some not. With a register that needed to be reset. He called work. "Mr. Kim, I need to take leave. How long?" A month. A long silence. "Mr. Pak, we have a site." "A month," Jung-soo repeated. "Or I quit." Silence. 2 weeks, said the foreman. 3. Agreed. He hung up. Looked at his grandfather's notebook. 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, he needed to understand whether this store made sense. Officially, he opened on Friday. He simply flipped the sign on the door from closed to open. An old wooden sign with both inscriptions carved by his grandfather, judging by the workmanship, a very long time ago. By noon, the first customers. First a goblin. Not tall, 1.50 meters, green, in a business suit that fit him a little incorrectly. Goblins are broad in the shoulders relative to their height. He came in, looked around with quick little eyes, walked up to the register. "Do you have joint oil?" he asked. Korean was pure. Without an accent 3 generations in Seoul, that could be heard. "Should have it," said Jung-soo. "Third shelf, bottom shelf." The goblin went to look. Found it. Brought it to the register. "Mr. Gi-cheol isn't here?" "Died." That's a pity. The goblin took out a card. Who are you? Nephew. I run the store now. New prices? The old ones for now. The goblin looked at him with approval, as if that were the right answer. Good, he said. My name is Karg. I come every 2 weeks. Pak Jong-soo. I'll remember that. Karg left. Next was a young cat woman. Jong-soo still did not distinguish the races very well visually, but cat ears and a cat tail were a fairly obvious marker. Gray ears on light hair, a gray striped tail, ordinary clothes, jeans, and a hoodie with a university logo. Do you have shampoo for black tails? She asked. A specific kind. My tail is dark and ordinary ones lighten it. I'll check now. He found it in his grandfather's notebook. Yes, there was such a product, a special formula. He climbed into the second-floor storeroom and found it, a dusty box in the corner. Yes, but this is the last package. We need to order more. You're going to order more? I will, he said. Promise? Yes. She bought it, left her phone number. Call when the new batch arrives. By evening, 7 more customers. An orc for spices, 2 elves for silver thread, an elderly Tanuki woman, a Japanese race, similar to a badger person for some specific oils that Jong-soo found in his grandfather's catalog on the 3rd try. The day's earnings were not huge, but not zero either. Jong-soo sat at the register in the evening and counted. COA Rayum appeared at 1900 exactly 1 week later as promised. She came in, looked around, saw that it was clean, that the light worked, that the shelves were in order. You opened, she said. I opened. Do you have tail products? This one, he took it out from under the register. He had specially set it aside after finding the note in his grandfather's notebook. Mr. Gachol left a few packages. CO Arium took it, looked at the label carefully. This is his own blend, she said quietly. He made it himself. I know. I found the recipe in the notebook. Do you know how to make it? No, but I can learn. She looked at him for a long time with that squint he was already beginning to recognize. You are seriously running this store, she said. I'm trying. Why? You're not from your construction? I was in construction. The difference, he thought for a second. There I laid tile, he said. Here, I don't know yet. We'll see. CO Arium looked at him, then one ear twitched. Both, at the same time. He noticed that this happened when she was thinking something specific, ears like an indicator. All right, she said. I will come. Good. She left. At the door, she turned around. Mr. Pak. Yes? Mr. Gachol made tea when I came. Green with milk. He said that fox people's ears hurt from the cold in winter, and warm tea helps. Jong-soo looked at her. Do your ears hurt? Sometimes, she said. It starts in autumn. I'll remember that. CO Arium nodded seriously as if it were an important agreement, and went out. The dark elf came on the 4th day of work. In the evening at 20:30, already dark. Jong-soo was almost getting ready to close when the doorbell jingled softly. He raised his eyes. Tall, 180 centimeters, maybe more. Dark skin, not tanned. Different, with a slight grayish shade that dark elves had. White hair, long, braided into a complex braid. Ears long, sharp, like all elves, only slightly longer than those of light elves. Her clothing was dark, practical, hood thrown back. She entered, looked around, and immediately went to the shelf with elven goods. She moved soundlessly. Jong-soo noticed that completely soundlessly, as if she were not touching the floor. She took several jars, looked at the labels. Moon oil, she said suddenly without turning around. This is not the right one. What? This, she showed the jar, is not the right moon oil. Mr. Gachol ordered it from Northern Elfheim, a special concentration. This is ordinary from the catalog. Jong-soo came closer. I haven't fully figured out the suppliers yet, he said. What exactly is needed? She looked at him. Her eyes were silver, almost glowing in the dimness of the store. Dark elves tolerated bright light poorly in daytime and wore special lenses or simply did not go out. You are not Mr. Gachol, she said. No, Jong-soo. I run the store now. For long. 4th day. The dark elf looked at him for a long time without embarrassment, as if studying him. Teal, she said. Just Teal? My full name is long. Humans do not pronounce it correctly. We can try. She looked at him with slight surprise as if she had not expected that. Tielvaranis or Dane, she pronounced slowly. Tielvara, he repeated. She blinked. Almost correct, she said. The stress is on the second syllable, Tielvara. Yes, pause. Humans usually do not try. It is your name, he said simply. Tielvara looked at him for a second, then turned to the shelf. I need moon oil of the proper concentration. Do you have silver thread? Real, not alloy. Yes, said Jong-soo. This one. She checked the sample the way elves do on the tip of her finger. Good, she said. I'll take the thread. Order the oil. Do you have your grandfather's supplier list? I have the notebook. There should be Nistrade in it. That is an elven supplier, only they make the proper concentration. I'll write it down. Tielvara paid by card silently. At the register, she stopped. Mr. Gi Cheol always kept the store open until 2100. Many of us cannot come earlier, it is bright. I will work until 2100, said Jong-soo. Good. At the door, she stopped once more and turned around. Mr. Pak. Yes. The bright light at the entrance, she pointed at the lamp above the door outside. Change it to a soft one. Blue or yellow, not white. Our eyes hurt from white. I'll change it tomorrow. She nodded and disappeared into the darkness of the alley. Jong-soo watched her go. Then he wrote in his own notebook a new one. Bought yesterday. Tielvara dark elf. Moon oil. Order from Nistrade. Silver thread. Comes in the evening. Change the lamp above the entrance to soft yellow. Below he added, stress on the second syllable. On the 6th day, a shelf broke. The middle rack was heavy with orcish spices and armor oils. The wood was old. The nail had come loose. The shelf tilted and half the goods slid down with a crash at 10 in the morning. Jong-soo stood and looked at the scattered jars. Nothing had broken, the goods were in sturdy packaging, but the shelf needed to be fixed. At 10:30, Goran came. An enormous orc, a little over 2 meters, broad. In a construction jacket, Jong-soo noticed that a worker. Green skin, small eyes, tusks sticking out from under the lip. He came in, saw the tilted rack, looked at Jong-soo standing with a nail and hammer, with the look of a man who knows how to hold a hammer but does not know what exactly to do. Wrong, said Goran. What? Wrong nail. For a rack like this, you need an anchor bolt into the wall, not a nail. Jong-soo looked at the nail. I don't have an anchor bolt. I do, said Goran. Dug into his jacket pocket, an installer apparently went around with tools, took out bolts. Do you have a drill? In the back room. 20 minutes later, the shelf stood firmer than, judging by its appearance, it had stood in the last 5 years. Goran inspected the work with satisfaction. Like that, he said. Thank you. How much do I owe? Nothing. Goran took a jar of orcish spices from the shelf. I'll take this. Settlement. This costs less than the work. Fine. Goran cut him off. Put the jar on the register. Jong-soo looked at him. Did Mr. Gi Cheol do the same, he asked. Goran looked at him. Yes, he said. Sometimes. Pause. Your grandfather was a good man. He was not afraid of us. In the first years of peace, many were afraid. He wasn't. Will you tell me? Goran sat on the chair by the register. The chair creaked under 200 kilograms of orc, but held. I've been in Seoul since 98, he said. Came after the treaty. It was hard they wouldn't give me work. Nowhere to live. I came in here for spices. Your grandfather spoke to me normally. Like a human being. Goran looked at the shelf. A small thing, but I remembered it. Jong-soo was silent. You're normal too, said Goran after a pause. You don't look at us strangely. What is there to look at strangely? The orc looked at him with that appraising look that Jong-soo was beginning to recognize in all non-human races. The look we are looking at you and deciding whether to trust. Good answer, said Goran. He stood up, took the spices. I'll come in a week, he said. If you need heavy work, call me. Construction worker? I'm a construction worker too, said Jong-soo. Goran looked at him in surprise. Then something like a smile, as far as his tusks allowed. Good, he said. Then you can handle it yourself. On the evening of the 6th day, Jong-soo sat on the 2nd floor and read his grandfather's notebook. Not the trade one, another one, which he found behind the desk drawer. Personal, small, with a soft cover. Not a diary notes. Thoughts written down without a system. People think I opened a store for monsters because I wanted money. Not true. I opened it because I saw how Goran in the first year was looking for normal joint oil and not a single store wanted to serve him. It was disgusting to watch. Teal brought elven cookies today. Says they have a tradition. To bring a gift to the one who pronounces the name correctly. No one had pronounced her full name correctly in about 10 years. She didn't say it in words, but I saw it on her face. Arayam was crying by the display window today, not inside outside, thought I didn't see. Then came in and was cheerful. Fox people hide sadness by reflex. Asked carefully, she said everything was fine. Made tea. Jung-soo sat with the notebook. Grandfather had lived in this little store for 37 years. Knew every customer not as a buyer, as a person. Or as a being. Or, as he wrote in one of the notes, as a living being that deserves normal treatment. A store is not a place where things are sold. It is a place where people feel that they are seen. For us non-human races, there are few such places. Non-human grandfather wrote exactly like that, in quotation marks, and Jung-soo understood why. It was not his word, it was the word of the world. Grandfather accepted it but did not like it. They are just different, diverse. We are also different, tall and short, quiet and loud. They are simply more different. A bigger difference. Jung-soo closed the notebook, looked at the store below through the open staircase shelves, goods, register, called work. Mr. Kim. Mr. Pak? I'm not coming back, he said. A long silence. For good? Yes, sorry. Pause. Thank you for 3 years? What happened? Nothing bad. I just found something else to do. He hung up. Sat down at grandfather's desk, now his desk. Opened a clean page in his notebook. Wrote at the top, Day 7, Pak's store, to-do list. The list turned out long. The first real week of work gave him a picture. In the morning, goblins and orcs, workers on the way to or after a shift. They took practical things, spices, oils, care products. Spoke briefly, paid quickly, left. During the day, a mixed crowd. Young cat people, students from the university campus and the neighboring block. Several wolf people. Once an entire Minotaur family, father, mother, and 2 children, came for special horn care products for the children. The little ones have delicate horns, they need special ones. In the evening, dark elves, nocturnal races, those who could not or did not want to go out in daylight. And at any time, Seo e Reum. She came without a schedule, sometimes in the morning, sometimes at lunch, sometimes in the evening. Sometimes she bought something, sometimes she just came in. Jung-soo noticed it in the second week she came in, just because. Do you live nearby? He asked once. 2 blocks away, she said. Why? You come in often. The store is good, she said. Sometimes you do not buy anything. An ear twitched both of them quickly. I'm checking how you're doing, she said. Businesslike, a little too businesslike. Good, he said. She looked at him suspiciously as if expecting a different answer. Is that all? What all? Aren't you going to say that I'm strange? No, he said. Mr. Gichiol wrote that you brought him soup when he was sick. That is not strange. That is good. Seo Arium looked at him. Her tail slowly swayed left and right. You read his notebook, she said quietly. Yes, what did he write? Good girl. Seo Arium looked to the side for a second, too. One ear pressed a little to the left. He was beginning to understand that it meant something, just not yet what exactly. Old fool, she said quietly, without anger. Do you miss him? He knew me for 8 years. Pause. Of course I miss him. Jung-soo was silent. Then, would you like tea? Green with milk. Seo Arium looked at him. You knew I drink green tea with milk? It is written in the notebook. A long silence. Yes, she said at last. I would. Tielvara came every Friday evening. Jung-soo changed the lamp above the entrance yellow, soft. She noticed on the very first visit, stopped at the door, looked at the lamp, then at him. She said nothing, came in. But she no longer frowned at the entrance. He found Nis Trade in grandfather's notebook. Wrote to them the Elven Trading Company, answered slowly with protocol, with store status confirmation. 2 weeks later, the first batch of moon oil of the proper concentration arrived. Tielvara took 2 jars, checked, nodded. Correct, she said. Good. How did you find Nis Trade? Grandfather wrote it down, and you simply wrote to them? Yes. Tielvara looked at him. Other stores do not write to Nis Trade, she said. They say it is difficult, bureaucracy. Difficult, Jung-soo agreed. 3 letters and 2 confirmations. But you come every Friday, so it was worth it. The dark elf looked at him with the expression he still had not learned to read too new a face, 2 unfamiliar facial expressions. Mr. Pak, she said. Yes. Dark elves have a custom. If someone does something for you without being asked, you have to return it. Pause. I owe you something. You do not owe anything. It is not up for discussion, she said. That is how it works. Pause. What do you need? Jong-soo thought. Then tell me about goods for dark elves, he said. What is needed? What is lacking? I still do not understand everything. Tilvara looked at him. Is that your request? Yes, I need to understand the assortment. A long silence. Good, she said at last. Next Friday I will tell you. She left. Jong-soo made a note in the notebook. Tilvara next Friday. Conversation about assortment for dark elves. Then added, do not forget to buy good tea. Dark elves drink only loose leaf, not tea bags. A month passed unnoticed. Not because it was boring, but because there was no time to look at the calendar. Every day brought something new, a new customer, a new problem, a new detail that had to be understood. Goblin Karg once came with a complaint that the joint oil had the wrong smell. It turned out that goblins have a sensitive sense of smell, and chemical fragrances cause headaches. Jong-soo found a natural version from another supplier. The Minotaur family came back and ordered a regular supply of children's horn care products. He arranged a small wholesale discount with the manufacturer. Tilvara came the following Friday and spoke for an hour and a half methodically, precisely, like a specialist explaining a subject. He took notes. By the end, he had a list of 27 items that were missing from the assortment. Seo Aereum brought soup. Not for Jong-soo to him. She simply put it on the register in a container and said, "You are not eating lunch properly, I can see it." He did not argue. On the 30th day, he sat down and counted. The monthly revenue was 3 times higher than his old salary at the construction site. He looked at the numbers for a long time, then looked at the store cleaned, with repaired shelves, with an updated assortment, with the yellow lamp above the entrance. Called the notary. "I accept the inheritance," he said. "Have you decided?" "Yes, good. We will formalize it on Friday." He hung up. Seo Aereum came into the store for no reason, just because, as she did. Looked around, looked at him. Did something happen? No, something good. What? I decided to stay. Seo Aereum looked at him. Both ears slowly stood straight. Jong-soo already knew this. It meant she was glad. Truly, not pretending. "Good," she said. "Would you like tea?" "Yes," she said, "with milk. I know." She sat down on the chair by the register, that same squeaky one that had held an orc. Outside the window, Yunsan Alley. Evening sunlight through the old shutters. The smell of dust and herbs, and something that Jong-soo was already beginning to think of as his own. Pack's store. His store now. System, there is no system. Just a man who brewed tea for a fox girl with aching ears and realized that this was work he was not ashamed to do. The recipe was found at the end of the trade notebook. Not on a separate page written in between supplier notes, in small handwriting, as if grandfather had added it in passing and did not consider it anything special. Tail and ear care composition, own formula since 1994. Shea butter, natural, 40% jojoba oil, 20% moonflower extract, order from Nistrade, 15% lavender. Essential oil only for light shades, cedar essential oil for dark shades, ginseng root extract. 10% spring water, the rest mix in a cold state. Do not heat moonflower, loses its properties. Below was a note in different handwriting, older. Tried 23 versions. This one is correct. Aereum said it is better than any store-bought one. Jong-soo reread it twice. Order moonflower from Nistrade. He was already working with them, could add it to the next order. Shea and jojoba oil from any cosmetic wholesaler. Ginseng from a pharmacy. The hardest part was understanding the proportions in practice. He started on Sunday morning before opening, on a small hot plate in the back room. The first attempt came out too thick. The second liquid, like water. The third, the smell was wrong. At 10:30, Seo Aereum came in, immediately sensed the smell. Fox people have a sharp nose, turned her ears toward the back room. "What are you doing?" "Trying to make grandfather's blend." She came up to the back room door. Looked at the table, 3 little jars with different versions, a notebook with notes, several empty bowls. "May I?" she asked. "Yes," said Jong-soo. "You are the best tester, you know how it should be." Seo Aereum took the first jar, smelled it, without touching it. Frowned lightly. "Too much lavender. I thought for light shades. Too much is too much. Lavender should be in the background, not the main thing." Took the second one. "This is better, but too watery, I know." The third? Took it, smelled it. One ear twitched. There is no ginseng here. There is 10%. Too little. She put down the jar. Ginseng is what holds the hair structure. Without it, there is shine, but after a day, everything is dry. Jung-soo looked at his notes. So the second base, add ginseng and remove lavender? Try it. He mixed it right in front of her slowly in a cold state as grandfather had written. Seo Aram watched silently, with the concentrated expression that appeared when she was truly interested. The fourth version. She took the jar, smelled it, then a small amount on her fingertips, rubbed it, brought it to her nose again. Silence. Close, she said at last. Close is not the same. Close is good for the first week, she said. Looked at him. May I try it on my tail? Of course. She applied a little to the tip of her tail carefully, professionally. The tail twitched reflexively, the way a cat reacts to touch. Waited a minute. The texture is right, she said slowly. The smell almost. It lacks, she thought. He added something else, something of his own. I do not know what, but there was something warm in the smell. Warm? Not sharp, not sweet, just warm. Like wood. Jung-soo looked at the recipe. Sandalwood oil, he said. Maybe. Let's try. He added about 3 drops to the whole jar, stirred it, held it out to Seo Aram. She took it, smelled it, and froze. One ear pressed to the left. Both. Slowly. He already knew what that meant. Is that it? He asked quietly. Yes, she said. Quietly, too. That is exactly it. Silence in the back room. He added sandalwood, said Jung-soo. Just probably did not write it down, thought it was obvious. Or forgot, said Seo Aram. He was absent-minded in recent years. You knew him well. 8 years, said she, her tail swayed slowly. That is a long time. Pause. Miss Seo Aram, said Jung-soo. Yes, thank you for the help. She looked at him with that expression when you want to say something and do not. Write sandalwood into the recipe, she said instead. So you do not forget. Already writing. A new customer came on Monday. A dark elf man, young, about 25 by appearance, although with elves that meant nothing. Tall, in a dark coat, with the hood pulled low despite the fact that it was already evening and dark outside. He came in, looked around quickly, saw the yellow lamp, relaxed a little, walked to the shelf with goods for dark elves and stood there without touching anything. Jung-soo watched out of the corner of his eye, did not stare. He learned that quickly non-human races did not like it when they were looked at openly. The dark elf stood by the shelf for about 5 minutes, then came to the register. You are the new owner, he said. Yes. Pak Jung-soo. TL said so. You know Tielvara? She is my... He searched for the word senior of the quarter, responsible for the dark elf community in this district. I see. Silence. I need something, said the dark elf, but I do not know whether you have it. Say what it is and we will see. He was silent for another second with the look of a man not used to asking. A sedative for light sensitivity, he said at last. Not lenses internal. There is such a thing in elven compound. It reduces the reaction of the eyes to light for several hours. I need it for work. I work during the day. Where? Hospital. I am a surgeon. Jung-soo looked at him. A surgeon, he repeated. Yes, the operating light is bright. Lenses interfere with precision. I need the compound. How long have you been looking? 3 months. Pause. It is not in ordinary pharmacies. It is in elven quarters, but there they do not sell to humans and half-humans. Only to their own. Why would they sell to you? I am a dark elf, he said, but I grew up in a human family, adopted in childhood. Quietly, without self-pity, just a fact. There they do not consider me one of their own. Jung-soo was silent for a second. Name? He asked. Kaelor, said the elf. Kaelor Niste. Mr. Kaelor. I do not know whether I have that compound right now, but I have a supplier among the dark elves' Nis trade. Pause. And I have Tielvara who knows the assortment better than I do. I can ask through her. Kaelor looked at him. You are willing to ask Tiel for the sake of a customer you are seeing for the first time? You are a surgeon who needs to work properly, said Jung-soo. That is sufficient reason. A long silence. Kaelor looked at him with that same appraising look everyone had, deciding whether to trust. Good, he said at last. Leave your phone number. I will ask Tielvara on Friday. Not earlier? She comes on Fridays. I can write earlier, but she does not reply quickly. Friday is fine, said Kaylor, left his number. At the door he stopped. Mr. Pak? Yes. Did Mr. Gicheol do the same? Just helped? As far as I know, yes. Kaylor looked at him for a second. Good family, he said, and left. Jongsu wrote in the notebook. Kaylor Niste, Dark Elf, Surgeon. Compound against light sensitivity, ask Tielvara on Friday. Important. Then added, grew up in a human family. Do not ask, he will say it himself if he wants. On Friday evening, Tielvara came at 20:30 as usual. Saw that Jongsu was waiting with the notebook, raised an eyebrow. A question? Yes. Kaylor Niste came in. Tielvara put her bag on the shelf, turned around. Kaylor. Pause. What does he need? A compound against light sensitivity. For work. Did he say he works? Surgeon. Tielvara was silent for a second. Something in her face changed subtly, almost imperceptibly. Jongsu already knew how to look at dark elves. Their facial expressions worked differently than humans. Slower and deeper. He did not come to our community, she said. He said that there they do not consider him one of their own. That is... She stopped. That is wrong on our side. He is a dark elf, but grew up differently. That does not make him different. I agree, said Jongsu. That is why I am asking. Tielvara looked at him. The compound is called Nisveil, she said. A light form with 4 hours of effect. Nistrade makes it but does not list it in the general catalog, only by personal request. Pause. I will write to them. I will say that the order is from your store. Will that help? If I write, it will help. Thank you. No need to thank me, said Tielvara. You need to call Kaylor and say it will take a week. All right. She took her goods, then stopped at the register. Mr. Pak, did you make tea? Loose leaf, said Jongsu. No tea bags. I saw. Would you like some? She looked at him for a second with that rare expression when a dark elf does not know what to answer. Not because she does not want to, but because she is not used to it. Yes, she said. I would. They sat by the register. He and the dark elf woman with silver eyes drank tea, and she explained to him about 8 more items that were missing from the assortment. He wrote them down. At 21:15, the doorbell. Seo Areum came in, looked around, saw Tielvara at the register with tea. Her ears stood straight, both. Quickly. Oh, she said. Ms. Areum, Jongsu nodded. Would you like tea? I do not want to disturb. We are finishing, said Tielvara evenly. Looked at Seo Areum without hostility, simply attentively. You are Areum? Yes? Seo Areum looked at her with the same attention. You are Tiel? Tielvara. Mr. Gicheol told me about you. And about you. Pause. Good things? Asked Seo Areum. Good girl, said Tielvara. Did he say that to everyone? No, said Tielvara. Not to everyone. Seo Areum looked at her, then her tail slowly swayed, relaxed. Tea with milk? Asked Jongsu. Yes, said Seo Areum. Sat on the second chair. Jongsu brewed another cup. 3 people, 1 human and 2 non-human races sat in the little store on Friday evening and drank tea. Outside the window, Yunsan Alley. The yellow lamp above the entrance, the first autumn leaves. System, there is no system. Just a quiet store and 3 cups of tea. Seo Areum. Jongsu noticed, secretly looked first at him, then at Tielvara. Her ears slightly lowered. He still did not know exactly what that meant, but he guessed. Tielvara was watching too. Once, then again. Then she turned to the window with the look of a person who had decided not to think about it right now. Jongsu drank tea and pretended not to notice either one or the other. System again, there is no system at all, just work. Goran brought his nephew on Saturday. The nephew was a young orc, about 17 years old, 1.90 meters and still growing. His name was Croc. He looked at the store with that expression of a teenager who had been brought somewhere against his will. He needs skin products, said Goran. Young orcs at this age get dry skin, it cracks. His mother asked me to find something. We have some, said Jongsu. This section here. Croc approached reluctantly. Looked at the shelf. This is for old people, he said. Uncle Goran used this. It smells like a grandfather. Croc, Goran warned. It's true. Jongsu looked at Croc, then at the shelf. You're right, he said. This is a serious line for adults. Pause. What exactly do you need? Croc looked at him, surprised that his opinion had been accepted. Something normal, he said. Without the grandfather smell, and not greasy. My classmates laugh if an orc walks around with greasy skin. What school do you go to? A regular one. Mixed. All kinds there. Jungsu thought for a second. I have a light formula in the storeroom, he said. It was made specifically for the young, absorbs quickly. No shine, neutral smell. Pause. But I haven't put it out yet. I was only sorting through it. Can I see it? Go to the storeroom, second floor. Boxes by the left wall, there's a label Juvenile Series. Croc went up without that reluctance now. Goran watched him go. You're good with young people, he said to Jungsu. I had a foreman who yelled, said Jungsu. I just do the opposite. Goran looked at him, then that same thing, something like a smile. Wise, he said. Croc came back with 2 tubes. This one, he said. This is normal. Take it, said Jungsu. If it works, tell me. I'll order a batch. We don't have many young orc customers yet. I haven't had time to figure out this segment. Segment, Croc repeated, as if he liked the word. Where do you study? 10th grade. I want to go into business later. Come by after school sometimes, said Jungsu. I can tell you about trade, if you're interested. Croc looked at him. Really? Really. I still have a lot to learn myself. Explaining is useful. Goran was silent. Then quietly, only for Jungsu. Thank you. It's nothing. For him it is. Pause. After school he doesn't know where to go. His father left. His mother works. He needs a place. Jungsu nodded. Into the notebook that evening. Croc, Goran's nephew, 17 years old. Juvenile Series. Keep an eye on stock. Wants to go into business. Invite him to drop by. There were evenings when no one came in. Rare, but there were. Rain outside, a weekday, late. Jungsu sat at the register and sorted out suppliers. On such evenings, he read grandfather's notebook. Not the trade one, the personal one. Reread the same pages, found something new. Teal brought a crystal today. Elven, for memory, she says. Moonlight from a certain night is recorded in it. Dark elves sometimes carry moonlight with them, because underground they lived without sun, but they saw the moon, it is softer. I did not understand at first, then I understood. She brought me a piece of something precious to them. That is more than a gift. Ariam came today with a bruise under her eye. Did not say what happened. I did not ask, she did not want to. Made tea. She sat for 2 hours and left. In the morning she sent a message, thank you. Fox people sometimes do not want words, just presents. Goran said today that his son does not want to study. We sat and drank tea for an hour. Orcs talk about family only when they trust. I was glad he said it. Jungsu would put the notebook aside and look at the store. Grandfather had lived here for 37 years. Not richly. The store was small, the district poor. But every page of the notebook was alive. Full of people. Full of different people. Jungsu thought about his 3 years on the construction site. He could not remember a single day that clearly. At 9 in the evening, the doorbell rang. Late. He was already about to close. A wolf woman. Tall, with gray hair and gray ears on her head. Fluffy tail. About 30 years old. In a business suit, with the tired face of a person who had worked all day. Still open? She asked. Yes, come in. Quickly, I need fur care. She noticed his glance. Ears and tail shed in autumn. I need something so I don't leave it everywhere. This section here. He pointed. This one is better specially for seasonal shedding. She took it quickly, looked at the price tag, nodded, brought it to the register. How late are you open? Until 9. But if someone makes it before closing, I don't rush them. Good. Pause. The store is far from the metro, I know. I'm thinking about direction signs. She looked at him. My name is Hasori, she said. I work at a law firm in the neighboring block. I'll stop by. Pak Jongsu. Are you new? A month now. Mr. Gicheol died? Yes, that's a pity. She took the bag. He always knew what I needed before I said it. I'm still learning, said Jongsu. Hasori looked at him with a slight smile, the first in the whole conversation. Honest answer, she said. That's the best thing I have so far. She looked at him for a second. It's fine, she said. The main thing is that the store is open. She left. Jongsu wrote in the notebook, Hasori Wolfwoman, lawyer in the neighboring block. Shedding remedy, autumn formula. Comes late, do not rush. Closed the notebook. Turned off the lights in the sales area. Left only the yellow lamp above the entrance. Went up to the second floor. sat by the window that faced the alley. Yunzan Alley, quiet, narrow, with stones wet from the rain. The yellow lamp reflected in the puddles. He sat and thought about what Kaylor had said, good family. He did not know grandfather. They had never met distant relative, so distant that there had not even been a direct connection at the funeral. But now through the notebooks, through the people who came in, through the recipe with sandalwood that grandfather had not written down because he remembered it anyway, he was beginning to know him. Good family. Jungsu looked at the yellow lamp in the puddle. A month ago he had been laying tile and could not pay for electricity. Now a small store in a narrow alley, a notebook with names, a yellow lamp for dark elves, a recipe with sandalwood, tea with milk on Fridays. He still did not know what this was, whether it would work out, whether it would be enough, for how long. But he knew one thing. He was not bored. For the first time in 3 years, he was not bored. The box stood in the farthest corner of the storeroom. Jungsu had noticed it from the first day, heavy, wooden, with a lid nailed shut. He had put it off because there had been more important things to do. But on Wednesday, a quiet day, few customers, rain outside, he finally took a crowbar, opened it. Inside were not goods, letters. Many, tied into bundles with string by year. Photographs, a small wooden casket, and on top an envelope, sealed with an inscription in simple pencil. To whoever finds this, most likely you, Jungsu, there's no one else. Jungsu sat right down on the storeroom floor, opened the envelope. 3 sheets, the same small handwriting as in the notebooks. Jungsu, you're the only one in the family who did not look at me like I was a weirdo. You were little when we last saw each other, around 8, maybe 9 years old. You came with your father for Chuseok. You looked at my store and never once asked, why do you sell to monsters? Everyone else asked. You just looked. I do not know what you have become. But I think if you are reading this, then you took the store. That means something remained in you from that boy. I want to say a few things. First, the store works. Not because the goods here are good goods are everywhere, because here, people feel that they are not feared. It sounds simple. It is not simple. Many tried to open something similar and closed within a year. They sold goods. I sold a place where you can come. Second, read the notebook with customers carefully. There is more between the lines than in the lines. Gorn never talks about family right away. Wait, he will say it. Teal will bring a gift when she decides to trust not earlier and not later. A Rayum sometimes comes, not for goods. Just be there. Third, and this is most important, in the casket there are 3 things. Recipes that I did not write in the notebook, 8 formulas I made myself. There is also the contact of one person, so Mongu, a rare herb supplier, he works only with those he knows personally. Tell him it is from me, he will understand. And lastly, the crystal, Dark Elven. Teal gave it 15 years ago. I do not know what is recorded in it, she did not say. I did not ask. But I think she knows you will find it. Take care of the store. Not because it is a family business, to hell with family business if it is not yours. Take care of it because in this alley there are people who have nowhere else to go. Pak Gi Cheol, P.S. The recipe for the tail blend has sandalwood in it. I forgot to write it down. 3 drops per jar. Jungsu sat on the storeroom floor and held the 3 sheets. Rain outside the window. He sat for a long time, then opened the casket. 8 recipes written neatly with exact proportions with notes. Supplier contact phone number and 1 line. Mangu is cautious but honest. And the crystal. Small, dark with a bluish tint. Warm to the touch, strangely warm for a stone. Jungsu held it in his palm. He did not know what to do with it. Did not know how to read dark elven crystals, but grandfather wrote she knows. So ask Tielvara on Friday. He carefully put everything back into the casket, the letter separately in the envelope. Put the casket on grandfather's desk, his desk now. Went downstairs. In the sales area it was quiet, rain against the glass, the yellow lamp outside. He sat at the register and opened the notebook to a new page. Wrote, Grandfather, I understand. I will try my best. Closed it. On Friday, he put the crystal on the register in front of Tielvara. She saw it and froze. Not much dark elves knew how not to show it. But the pause was there. Where is this from, she said. Not a question. Found it in a box in the storeroom. Grandfather wrote that you gave it. Tielvara looked at the crystal. 15 years ago, she said quietly. What is in it? A long silence. Dark elves, she began slowly. have a tradition. When you truly trust someone, you leave a crystal. Inside is a moment. Pause. Not words. A moment you want to preserve. What moment? Tielvra looked at the crystal. The first time I felt good here, she said. I came to this store a year after moving to Seoul. I did not speak Korean well. People did not understand me. Mr. Kihoel pronounced my name correctly and asked what I needed, simply asked, as if it were normal. She was silent for a moment. I left the store and realized that for the first time in a year I had not felt awkward. That moment is in the crystal. Silence in the store. Jungsu looked at the crystal in his palm. He kept it, he said. Yes, 15 years. Yes. Ms. Tielvra, he said. Yes, he wrote about you in the personal notebook. Wrote well. Pause. I think he kept it because it mattered to him too. Tielvra was silent for a long time, then held out her hand. May I? He gave her the crystal. She held it with both hands carefully. Her silver eyes darkened slightly, or maybe the light changed. Mr. Pak, she said at last. Yes, you may keep it. It was given to your family, but it is your moment. Yes, but its place is here. She put the crystal back on the register. Jungsu looked at her. I'll put it on the shelf, he said, so that it can be seen from the entrance. Tielvra looked at him. Good, she said quietly. Co A Reum, she came later, as usual, saw the crystal on the shelf, asked what it was. Jungsu explained briefly. Co A Reum looked at the crystal for a long time, then at Tielvra, who was sitting with tea by the register. So you've been here a long time, said Co A Reum. 15 years? I've been here 8. I know, said Tielvra. He wrote about you too. What did he write? Good girl, brought soup. Co A Reum looked at her. Then slowly the corner of her mouth lifted. Old fool, she said, warmly. Yes, agreed Tielvra, but a good one. It was the first time they spoke simply, without appraising, without caution. Just two women who had loved one old man. Jungsu was brewing tea and pretending not to hear. System? There's no system at all, just 3 cups of tea and a crystal on the shelf. The following Tuesday, Co A Reum came at 7:30 in the evening. Jungsu noticed immediately she came in quickly, looked at nothing, went straight to the register and sat on the chair. Jacket zipped up to the chin, although it was not cold. Ears pressed tightly to her head. Tail did not sway. He did not ask anything. Put on the kettle. She sat silently, looking at the table. Her fingers were fidgeting with the strap of her bag. He brewed tea, put it in front of her. Sat on the other side of the register in his place, opened the notebook, began writing something down. Did not look at her. 5 minutes. 10. She took the mug, held it with both hands, warming herself. Mr. Pak, she said quietly. Yes, do you ever get tired of people? Sometimes, of everyone at once? It happens. She looked into the mug. I work in public relations, she said. There are 5 of us there, all humans. Pause. Today at the meeting? She stopped. Jungsu waited. Did not hurry her. Nothing terrible happened, said Co A Reum. Just words. People sometimes say words without thinking. What words? About my tail, briefly. That it gets in the way during presentations, that clients are uncomfortable. Silence. Did you hide your tail? Asked Jungsu. No, said she. I did not hide it. Good. Co A Reum looked at him. Just good? It is your tail, he said, not their presentation. She looked at him for a second. That is not how reality works, she said. I know, but that does not mean they are right. Silence. Her tail swayed slowly. Once. Mr. Gicheol used to say the same, she said. He was a smart man. You are like him, said Co A Reum. Sometimes. Is that a good comparison? Yes, she said. Quietly. A good one. They sat for another half hour, he with the notebook, she with the tea. Talked about different things, about the suppliers he was looking for, about how she had seen a new restaurant in the block, about how Croc had come yesterday and helped arrange the goods. An ordinary conversation. At 2100, she stood up. Thank you, she said, for the tea, not only. He nodded. She put on her jacket. Her ears were already standing normally. Her tail was swaying. At the door, she turned around. Mr. Pak. Yes, do you always listen like that and not push advice? You did not ask for advice. Co A Reum looked at him. Mr. Gicheol never pushed either, she said. I thought that was his own trait. Maybe it's a family thing, he said. She looked at him for a second, then one ear twitched. Quickly, upward. He already knew that when something is funny to her, but she does not want to show it. "Good night," she said. "Good night." The door closed. The bell fell silent. Jung-soo looked at the empty mug, wrote in the notebook, "Arium sometimes comes not for goods. Just being there is enough. Grandfather was right." He dialed the phone number from the casket on Thursday. 3 rings. "Yes?" The voice was hoarse, old. "Mr. So Man-gu? Who is asking?" "Park Jung-soo. I run Park Gi-cheol's store in Mapo. He left your contact." A long silence. "Gi-cheol died?" "Yes." 2 months ago." Pause. "That's a pity," said Man-gu. "He was a good man." Another pause. "What do you want?" "He wrote that you supply rare herbs." "I need ingredients for blends that are grandfather's recipes, some with components that cannot be found in ordinary catalogs." "Read the list." Jung-soo read out from the recipes in the casket the components he had not found. Man-gu listened silently. Then, "I have everything." "Everything?" "Everything. I've been doing this for 30 years. Pause. "Come over." "I don't send things to strangers, I look at the person first." "When?" "Tomorrow morning. I'm in Uijeongbu, I'll send the address." "All right, Mr. Pak." "Yes." "Do you make the blends yourself or resell them?" "I make them myself. Still learning." Silence. "Honest," said Man-gu, as if assessing him. "Tomorrow at 10. Uijeongbu, an hour by metro. Then a bus. Then on foot along a narrow street to a small house with a large plot behind the fence." So Man-gu turned out to be a small, dry old man about 70, with hands that looked like those of a man who had worked with the earth all his life. On the plot were garden beds, greenhouses, several large pots with plants Jung-soo did not recognize. The old man opened, looked him over silently, then nodded. "Come in." They walked around the plot for an hour. Man-gu showed things, named them, explained, sometimes let him touch or smell them. Jung-soo wrote quickly, could barely keep up. "This is moon moss," said Man-gu, pointing to a silvery plant in a pot. "It grows only under certain moonlight. I use it in blends for dark races, they respond well to it. It calms them." Gi-cheol took it every month. "How much does it cost?" "Expensive, but for your store the same as for Gi-cheol. He never bargained, I never overcharged." "Good. Are you remembering?" "I'm writing it down." Man-gu looked at his notebook. "Like your grandfather," he said. "He kept records well. It's not about the records." Man-gu stopped by a greenhouse. He wrote everything down because he respected. "Do you understand? When a person respects, he writes things down. When he doesn't, he thinks he'll remember anyway." Jung-soo looked at him. "I understand." Man-gu studied him for a second with that appraising look that Jung-soo already knew by heart. "Fine," said the old man at last. "Work. That was approval. They agreed on deliveries." Man-gu gave him a price list without bargaining, just as he had said. Jung-soo took the first batch with him, small quantities, in canvas pouches tied with string. At the gate, Man-gu stopped him. "Mr. Pak." "Yes." "Gi-cheol once told me something." Pause. "He said that this store is not trade. It is service. Like a doctor or a teacher, only different." The old man looked at him. "Do you understand the difference?" "I think so. When you understand exactly, come again and tell me." "All right." Man-gu nodded and closed the gate. Jung-soo was riding back to Seoul with the canvas pouches on his knees and thinking about what the old man had said. Service, not trade service. He looked out the bus window at the city, passing by people, cars, somewhere in the crowd, an ear, a tail, horns, a silver gaze. 100 years ago, all of this was war. Now there are people on the subway with laptops, a goblin in a business suit, a dark elf surgeon who needs eye drops to save lives, and a little store in an alley where a crystal stands on a shelf and a yellow lamp burns for those whom bright light hurts. Service, yes, he understood. Goran brought his wife on Saturday. Warned him on Thursday, came in, put a jar of spices on the register, said without looking, "I'll come with my wife on Saturday." "All right." He searched for the word. "It's her first time. In a store for humans." Jung-soo looked at him. "I understand," he said. "No need for anything special." "Nothing special, just normal." "Normal." Goran looked at him as if checking that the words had gotten through correctly. "Good," he said, and left. On Saturday, they came together. Goran's wife was an orc woman, a little shorter than Goran, with dark green skin and neatly pinned up hair. Dressed well, it was obvious she had dressed up specially, kept slightly behind Goran. Her name was Vera. Jong-soo greeted her like everyone else simply, without anything extra. "Ms. Vera, welcome. What do you need?" She looked at him with the same appraising look as Goran, only more cautiously. "I heard you have orcish cosmetic products," she said. "For facial skin." "We do. This section here." He pointed and did not go with her, simply showed the direction, gave her space. She moved through the section slowly, reading labels. Goran stood by the entrance looking the other way, pretending to study the shelf with tools, though there was nothing interesting there. Vera brought 2 products to the register. "Is this for oily skin or normal skin?" she asked about one. "For normal." "For oily, this one is better." Jong-soo took out another jar. She took both, compared them. "Which do you recommend? Honestly, I don't know your skin." "But we have samples." He took out small sachets. "Try both at home, then decide." "Samples are free?" "Yes." Vera looked at him. "Other stores don't give them," she said. "In other stores, you're not a regular customer." Pause. "Mr. Goran has been coming to us for 8 years. You are his wife." Vera looked at Goran by the shelf with tools, then at Jong-soo. "Did Mr. Gi-cheol do the same?" she asked quietly. "Exactly the same." She nodded, took the samples. At the register, she paid silently. Then, "Mr. Pak." "Yes, Goran talked about this store for a long time." She looked at the crystal on the shelf. "I didn't come because—" She stopped. "No need to explain," said Jong-soo. "No," she said. "I want to say it." Pause. "The first years in Seoul were hard. People stared. In stores, they rushed me, did not answer questions, sometimes simply did not notice me. You get used to it. Then you start avoiding it. I understand. Goran said it was different here. I didn't believe him." She took the bag. "Now I do." Goran by the shelf made it look like he did not hear, but you could tell by his back. That evening, Jong-soo wrote, "Vera, Goran's wife, facial skin products. Gave samples. Came for the first time, make it so she comes a second time." Then underlined the last line. "The wolf lawyer came on Wednesday at 20:45. Late again. Business suit again. Tired face again. But this time without a specific product. Came in, looked around, walked to the register. 'Can I just sit here?' she asked. 'I don't want to go home, there's no one there, and cafes are noisy.' 'Sit down,' said Jong-soo. 'Do you have tea?' 'What kind would you like?' 'Something without caffeine, it's late already.' He brewed an herbal one from Mongoose Supplies, a good one. Warm. Hasori sat down, took off her jacket, threw it over the back of the chair, stretched. Her tail slipped out from behind the jacket and spread out fluffy, gray, clearly stiff after a day in a cramped workspace. She glanced at her tail. "Sorry, for what?" "My tail? What is wrong with it?" "It takes up a lot of space." "There is enough space," said Jong-soo. Sori looked at him for a second, then relaxed her shoulders. "You know," she said, "all day long I watch that my tail is tucked away and my ears don't stick out too much. It is exhausting." "Why watch it?" "Law firm, corporate clients, conservative." "I see. Mr. Gi-cheol used to say that for wolf people the tail is like a second spine, that when it is constrained the whole body gets tired. Is that true?" "More or less," said Sori. "There is no medical term, but by feeling, yes." Pause. He knew that without medical terms. He knew a lot without terms. Sori looked at the crystal on the shelf. "What is that?" Jong-soo explained briefly. She listened attentively. "Kept it for 15 years, she repeated slowly. "I understand why." "Why?" "Because place matters," said Sori. "Not people place. People come and go. Place remains." She looked at the shelves, at the yellow lamp through the window. "Your store is such a place. I've only been here a month. Doesn't matter. Grandfather made the place. You continue it." Pause. "That is harder than starting from zero, continuing someone else's." Jong-soo looked at her. "How do you know?" "I'm a lawyer for inheritance cases," said Sori simply. "I've seen people get businesses from parents, stores from grandfathers. Most change everything immediately they want to make it theirs." Pause. "You are not changing it." "I'm adding to it," said Jong-soo. "Difference." Sori looked at him. Yes, she said. Difference. They talked for another hour, she about work, he about suppliers and new blends, easily, without effort, like a conversation between two people who do not need to fill the silence. At 2200, she stood up. I'll be coming late often, she said, if you don't mind. I don't mind. It's quiet here, she explained. Outside it's noisy. Here it isn't. The yellow lamp helps. Not only the lamp. She put on her jacket carefully, her tail tucked back in. Her ears pressed down again a little lower than normal. Jung-soo noticed the moment when a person puts on a work mask. Ms. Sori, he said. Yes, here you do not need to hide. She turned at the door. I know, she said. That is why I come. The door closed. The bell. Jung-soo looked at the empty chair. At the cup. At the tail that was no longer there. Wrote down. Sori comes late. Herbal tea without caffeine. Make space for the tail so it won't be cramped. Put in a second wide chair. Here she does not need to hide, she knows. Just remind her sometimes. 3 months after opening. Friday, 2030. Tielvara at the register with loose leaf tea and a list of new items that dark elves need in winter. Seo A. Rayum on the wide chair that Jung-soo had put there, specially tails spread out freely, ears relaxed, holding a mug of green tea with milk. Kaylor got the Nis Veil came last Wednesday, took the first batch, said briefly, "It works." That was the best review. Croc came on Tuesday and Thursday, helped with the goods, listened while Jung-soo explained suppliers and margin, took notes on his phone with the seriousness of a 17-year-old orc who had been given real work. Vera sent a message the oily skin product worked for her. She would take it regularly. Ha So-ri came 3 times late with tea, with conversations about nothing specific and everything at once. Goran fixed 2 more shelves without being asked. Simply came and fixed them. Took spices, left. Jung-soo stood by the window looking at Yunsan Alley. The yellow lamp above the entrance reflected in the wet stones. Mr. Pak, said Seo Areum behind him. Yes, what are you thinking about? Grandfather, what exactly? He wrote in the letter, there are people in this alley who have nowhere else to go. Pause. I didn't understand what that meant when I read it. And now? Jung-soo looked at the yellow lamp. Now I understand, he said. Tielvara from the register without turning around. Mr. Gi Cheol used to say that a store is not walls and goods. It is permission to be yourself for 2 hours. Silence. Permission to be yourself, Seo Areum repeated quietly. Yes, said Tielvara. For some of us that is rare. Jung-soo looked at the alley. 3 months ago, tile, bills, an air conditioner that keeps breaking. Now a small store, a yellow lamp, a notebook with names, a crystal on the shelf. And behind him a foxtail swaying calmly, and silver eyes reading a list of items and green tea with milk. He thought of what Mongu had said. Service. Miss Seo Areum, he said. Yes, next time at work they say something about your tail. What? Just come here afterward. The tea will be ready. Silence, then the ears. Slowly, both rose straight up. Good, she said quietly. Tielvara from the register evenly without emphasis. I too will be glad to see her more often. Seo Areum looked at Tielvara. Tielvara was looking at her list. The tail swayed, pleased. Jung-soo smiled quietly to himself and went to brew more tea. Outside the window, Yunsan Alley, the yellow lamp, Autumn Soul. Pak's store, open. Winter came quietly to Yunsan Alley. Not sharply, gradually. First the leaves from the single tree by house number 4, then the cold wind from the river. Then one morning Jung-soo opened the shutters and saw a thin layer of snow on the pavement. He stood in the doorway with a mug of coffee, looked at the snow, then at the yellow lamp above the entrance, which had burned all night. He had long since stopped turning it off, went back inside, opened the notebook. Winter. List, heater for the sales floor, the old one is noisy. Tea winter assortment, add warming ones. Ask Tielvara what dark elves need. Additionally, in winter, cat people's ears get cold in winter. Seo Areum said find a supplier for special tail warmers. Goran asked to order orcish winter joint ointment. The list turned out long. It is always like that when you begin thinking about specific people and not about the assortment in general. The list becomes long. Grandfather knew that. He is learning. The tail warmers turned up by accident. Croc came on Thursday, helped with the shelves, and said that he had seen on the internet a small factory in Busan that makes specialized products for non-human races. They have them, he said. Showed it on his phone. Jong-soo looked at the screen. Small, soft, tube-shaped warmers, different diameters, with fasteners, for tails of different thicknesses. Inside a gel filling heated in the microwave, holds warmth for 4 hours. You found this yourself? Said Jong-soo. Looked for it, said Croc. A little embarrassed. You said cat people get cold. I thought there had to be something. Jong-soo looked at him. 17 years old, an orc came to help with the shelves and found a supplier. Good work, he said. Croc had no ears, but his face turned a little greener. That is the young orc version of a blush. I just looked, he said. Just looked is half of trade, said Jong-soo. Wrote down where you found it? Yes, write it in the notebook. With us, every supplier has a story where we found them, through whom, why. Croc wrote it down seriously, neatly. Jong-soo called Busan, arranged a trial batch. A week later, the tail warmer stood on a separate shelf by the entrance. New, he wrote by hand on a card. Seoa Rheum on the very first day took 1 for herself, 1 for a friend. Vera took 3 for herself and 2 neighbors. Ha So-ri looked for a long time, took the biggest one. For a big tail, she said without embarrassment. That is exactly what it was made for, said Jong-soo. Ha So-ri brought a colleague in the first week of December. Came in together, she and a man, a very large man. A troll, gray skin, square shoulders, bald head, 220 tall and almost as wide. In a business suit that had clearly been custom made because there is no ready-made clothing for trolls. His name was Rock. Just rock trolls did not take Korean names, they had their own, one-syllable old ones. Came in, looked around, and immediately became careful. Movement slowed down, he drew himself in as much as possible at his size. Jong-soo had seen that in large customers' deliberate caution, the habit of not taking up extra space. Mr. Rock, said Jong-soo, there is enough space here. No need to shrink yourself. The troll looked at him. I usually hit something, he said, voice deep, slow. Goran thought so too. Didn't hit anything in 3 months. The shelves are set up properly. Rock looked at him for a second, then slowly straightened his shoulders. Good, he said. Sori at the register nodded to Jong-soo almost imperceptibly. Meaning right. What do you need? Asked Jong-soo. Skin, said Rock. Hands. He took off his gloves. Jong-soo looked and understood the problem at once. Troll skin was gray, thick, with a natural texture, but on Rock's hands there were cracks, deep ones, some with dried blood. Dry, very dry. How long has it been like this? 3 years, said Rock. Worse in winter? Have you tried anything? Everything I could find. Human products do not work. The skin is different. In stores for non-human races, it is only for orcs and goblins. Nothing for trolls. There are few trolls, said Jong-soo. There are few of us in Seoul, said Rock. 12? 12 people. 12 trolls, corrected Rock. No offense, just precise. 12 trolls. Jong-soo nodded. I understand. Pause. I do not have a special blend for trolls right now, but I have grandfather's recipes and I have a herb supplier. We can try to make something suitable. Rock looked at him. Will that take time? A week? 2? We need to understand what your skin consists of, what it needs. Can you leave me a little sample, a tissue sample? Just a skin flake. I'll send it to the supplier. He'll match the components. The troll was silent for a long time, then slowly nodded. No one has offered that before, he said. No one asked what exactly you need? No, then let's start with that. Ha So-ri at the register was looking out the window. Nothing on her face, but by the tail, Jong-soo already knew how to read. The tail lay calm, she was pleased. Rock left a sample. Took an orcish ointment for the time being not right, but at least something. Jong-soo charged him half price. Why? Asked Rock. Because this is not your product. When we find yours, you will pay full price. The troll looked at him. Mr. Pak? Yes. So-ri said it is good here. I didn't believe her. Why? Because in stores they usually either do not notice you or they look at you. He put on his gloves. You do not look. There is nothing especially to look at. Rock something in his face, dark eyes, slow movement that was the troll equivalent of a smile, Jong-soo guessed. Good, said Rock. I will wait. He left carefully, not a single shelf touched. Goran had been right if you set them correctly. Jongsu called Mangu that evening. A sample from a troll, he said. Skin dry, cracked, need components. Mangu was silent for a second. A troll, he repeated. First time in 40 years anyone asked for a troll. There are 12 of us in Seoul, said Jongsu, repeating Rock's words. Do I hear you correctly? Yes, I'll send the sample. Can you match it? I can, said Mangu. Pause. Mr. Pak. Yes? Remember what I said about trade and service? I remember. Did you call to say that you understood or not yet? Jongsu thought for a second. I understood, he said. Silence. Good, said Mangu. Send the sample. The components will be ready in a week. Kaylor came on Wednesday evening. Without warning, just came in at 2000, took off his hood, looked different from the first time, somehow lighter, like a person whose one problem has been solved, and it shows immediately on the face. Is the Nisveil working? Asked Jongsu. Yes. Pause. Thank you. Tilvera helped. I know, I spoke with her. Kaylor walked up to the register. She is unexpected. What is unexpected? I thought she would not want to help. He looked at the crystal on the shelf. We had not crossed paths before. I am not from the community. She does not think about it that way. Now I know. He was silent for a second. Mr. Pak? Said he. Yes, I did not come for goods. I know. How? You would have written if you had come for goods. Kaylor looked at him. You are observant, he said. That's the work. The dark elf sat on the chair carefully straight, like all elves. Looked at his hands. At the hospital, they found out that I am a dark elf, he said. They didn't know before? They knew. But now there is talk. Some patients ask for another doctor. Pause. Not many, but there are some. Silence. That is illegal, said Jongsu. I know. Legally, yes, but if the patient asks, the hospital cannot force them. Kaylor looked at the table. I understand. 100 years is not so much. Fears remain. That does not make it right. No, pause. But it makes it real. Jongsu thought. Why are you telling me this? Kaylor raised his eyes. Because you asked my name correctly, he said simply. The first time. Pause. That is rare. Silence. Mr. Kaylor, said Jongsu. Yes, do you have normal colleagues at the hospital? Most are normal. Then the problem is a minority of patients. Yes, a minority is manageable. A majority is the foundation. Kaylor looked at him. You say it as if it is simple. Not simple, said Jongsu. Just count correctly. A long silence. You know how to say things so they seem understandable, said Kaylor. I listened for 3 years to a foreman who yelled incomprehensibly. Learned to do the opposite. Kaylor's silver eyes, something changed in them. Not a smile. Dark elves do not do it like that. But close. Is there tea? He asked. Loose leaf. No tea bags. I know, Teal said. Jongsu brooded. They sat a dark elf and a human drinking tea and talking about nothing specific. Kaylor told about an operation last week, a difficult one, with a good outcome. Jongsu told about tail warmers and a troll named Rock. Kaylor listened about the troll with attention. 12 in Seoul, he repeated. I did not know. I did not know either until he said, they are almost invisible because they are used to not taking up space. Kaylor looked at the crystal. It is like that for many, he said quietly. I know. Is it like that for you too when you come here? It becomes... He searched for the word. Tilvera says permission to be yourself. Exactly, said Kaylor. An exact word. At 21:30, he stood up. I will come again, he said, not asking, stating. The doors are open until 9. I know until when. Pause. Teal told me. You talk to her a lot. She is unexpected, Kaylor repeated. It is a good kind of unexpected. He left soundlessly, hood, darkness of the alley. Jongsu wrote down, Kaylor not for goods, just to talk. Loose leaf tea. Problems at work do not push advice, he handles it himself. Tilvera helped him well. He will come. Tilvera noticed the following Friday. Came at 20:30 as usual. Seo Ereum was already sitting there, came earlier, warming herself with tea. Tail on the wide chair, ears relaxed. Tilvera took the goods, walked to the register. Jongsu was brewing tea with his back to the hall. And Tilvera, she was looking at Seo Ereum, who was looking at Jongsu. Looking without breaking away. with that expression which Tielvara in 15 years of living among humans had learned to read well. Co Ariam felt the look and turned around. Tielvara calmly looked at her list. You look for a long time, she said quietly. Not accusing, simply stating. Co Ariam opened her mouth. I'm not ears straight, said Tielvara evenly. And tail. Co Ariam looked at her own tail. The tail was upright, not lying relaxed upright. She had not noticed. Ears straight, slightly forward. She quickly lowered her ears. The tail slowly lay down. That means nothing, she said. I did not say what it means, said Tielvara. You were implying it. I was stating facts. That is the same thing. No, said Tielvara. Facts are facts. You are the one who gives them meaning. Co Ariam looked at her with the expression of a person who had been caught and did not want to admit it. Tiel, she said. Yes, it is difficult. I know, said Tielvara simply. It is his store. He is the owner. I am a customer. You come 4 times a week. I like the tea. Co Ariam. What? You have tea at home? Pause. Co Ariam looked into her mug. He has good tea, she said quietly. Yes, Tielvara agreed. Silence. Tiel. Yes. You also come often. I come on Fridays, said Tielvara. Regularly. That is different. How is it different? Tielvara looked at her list. I am older, she said at last. By how much? By 80 years. Co Ariam looked at her. Elven 80 is like human 25, she said. I know, said Tielvara, quietly. Silence. Co Ariam looked at her. Then slowly one ear twitched. Not upward, not downward. To the side. Jungsu had not decoded that yet, but Tielvara apparently understood. Tiel, said Co Ariam. Yes, you also look for a long time. Tielvara pause. Long. I was stating facts, she repeated. You were implying, said Co Ariam. Silence. Jungsu turned around with 2 mugs. The tea is ready, he said. Both women were looking in different directions. All right, said Co Ariam. Thank you, said Tielvara. Jungsu set down the mugs, looked at them, looked at the tail that had again quietly risen, at the silver eyes that were looking at the list too attentively for a list, said nothing, sat down at the register, opened the notebook, wrote, Friday went fine. Put a period. The blend for Trollskin was ready in 10 days. Mangu called himself a rarity, usually he wrote. Interesting sample, he said without preface. Trollskin is multi-layered, with a natural mineral composition. Ordinary oils do not penetrate too superficial. A different base is needed. What kind? Clay, with the addition of mountain wax and 3 herbs that I selected from the sample. Pause. I made a test blend. I want you to come see it. When? Right now, if you can. Jongsu looked at the clock. 11 in the morning, a weekday, few customers. Croc, he said. Croc in the corner raised his head. Can you stay alone for 1 hour? Yes. If anything happens, do not make decisions about discounts on your own. Say the owner will be back. Okay. Croc was already walking to the register with the look of a person who had been given responsibility. I can handle it. Jongsu went to Weijungbu. Mangu showed him the blend a small container, gray with the smell of clay and something mineral. Apply it to your hand, said the old man. Jongsu applied a little to the back of his hand, rubbed it in. It absorbed slowly deeper than ordinary cream. His skin, not troll skin, human skin, felt something warm. For a troll it will be stronger, said Mangu. His skin reacts more actively to the mineral composition. I checked the literature, these are the right components. Literature on trolls? I have all sorts of things. Been collecting for 40 years. Jongsu looked at the blend. How much does production cost? Mangu named the price. Jongsu counted quickly, habitually. The margin is small. 12 trolls in Seoul is not a big market. But if Rock tells the others, I'll take the first batch, he said. I thought you would. Mr. Mangu. Yes. You said when I understood the difference between trade and service, I should come and say it. The old man looked at him. I understood, said Jongsu. Not when you said it later. When Rock took off his gloves? Explain. Trade is when you have goods and you look for someone to sell them to. Service is when you have a person and you look for what he needs. Pause. The difference is in the direction. Trade goes from goods to person. Service from person to goods. Mangu was silent. For a long time. That is how Gi Cheol said it too, he said at last. In different words, but like that. He was a smart man. Yes, the old man took the blend, wrapped it in cloth. And you are not stupid either. Is that a compliment? It is a statement of fact, said Mangu. I do not give compliments. Tilvara says that too. Then she is the right person. Jiangsu took the blend and went back to Seoul. Rock came 3 days later. Jiangsu set the container on the register. A test blend, he said, specifically for your skin. The components were selected for troll structure. Rock looked at the container. This was made specially? Yes, in 3 days. The supplier is good. The troll took the container slowly, carefully as one takes something fragile, although he himself was twice as sturdy as a shelf. Opened it, smelled it. Clay, he said. Yes, your skin accepts a mineral base better than an oil base. How do you know? The sample you left. The supplier studied it. Rock looked at him. No one studied it before, he said. No one asked what you need, said Jiangsu. I asked. A long silence. The troll applied the blend to his right hand right there, in the store. Slowly, attentively, like a person who had tried useless things many times and now did not believe in advance. Waited. 1 second, 2, 30. Deeper, he said. Yes, it does not tighten. It should not. There are no drying components in it. Rock looked at his hand. Mr. Pak. Yes, I will tell the others. I'll be glad. There are 12 of us. All will come. Good. I'll clear the second shelf section for trolls. Rock looked at him. A separate shelf section. Why not? Everyone else has one. The troll stood there large, gray, in a business suit, and looked at the person behind the register. Sori said it is good here, he said at last. I said that is not possible. She convinced you? You convinced me. Pause. I was wrong. For a troll, that was a lot. Jiangsu understood they do not speak unnecessarily. If a troll said it, then that was exactly how it was. Will you take the test one? Free the first time. No, said Rock. I will pay. A sample? No, he repeated, firmly. You worked, I pay for work. Jiangsu did not argue. Rock paid. Took the container. At the door he stopped. Mr. Pak? Yes, shelf section. He pointed to the second shelf section by the wall. It will be good there. We are tall, lower shelves are inconvenient. I will make the upper shelves the main ones for your section. Good. He left carefully, not a single shelf touched. Jiangsu sat at the register. Wrote down. Rock Troll Blend works. All 12 will come. Rebuild the second shelf section, upper shelves for the troll section. Rock pays for work and does not take free things, respect that. Below he added, 12 trolls in Seoul, now they have somewhere to come. Mid-December. Friday, 2100. Tielvara and Seo A. Reum sat with tea as usual in their places. For 3 Fridays now, they had both been coming and no longer pretended it was accidental. Jiangsu was tidying the shelves. Tomorrow the first batch of troll blends would arrive. Space needed to be cleared. Mr. Pak, said Seo A. Reum. Yes, do you ever regret quitting construction? No, you answered immediately. Because I know the answer immediately. You really do not miss the past at all? Jiangsu thought for a second. I do not miss construction, he said. Sometimes I miss the simplicity. There it was simple, lay the tile straight and go home. Is it not simple here? It is different here. He moved a box. Here every day is something new. A troll with cracks on his hands. An elf who needs drops for operations. An orc boy who wants to go into business. Is that better? For me, yes. Seo A. Rim looked at him, Tielvara into her mug. Mr. Pak, said Tielvara. Yes, in our community there is a person, a light elf, immigrated from northern Elfheim. He is looking for specific goods that are not available in Seoul. May I give him your address? Of course. He is difficult, said Tielvara. Northern elves have a different character. Direct, sometimes rude. It is nothing serious. Goran seemed rude too, said Seo Areum. Goran is a good person, said Jiangsu. The troll, said Seo Areum. Rock too. Goblin Karg who bargains every time even though you do not bargain. Karg is just checking. It is a goblin tradition. It is impolite not to check the price. Seo Arium looked at him. You know everyone, she said. I try. Grandfather knew them the same way. I am learning. You already know, said Tielvarda quietly. You just do not call it that. Silence. Snow outside the window, the first heavy snowfall of December. The flakes large, lazy, settling on the pavement of the alley. The yellow lamp above the entrance, the snow around it, glowed amber. Beautiful, said Seo Arium. Yes, Jungsu agreed. The three of them watched the snow in silence. Tielvar's silver eyes reflected the light of the lamp. Seo Arium's tail swayed slowly on its own. Jungsu simply watched. A little store in Yunsan Alley. Outside December Seoul 100 years after the war, a city where an orc takes up 1.5 seats on the subway, and everyone has silently agreed that this is normal. Inside yellow light, 3 mugs of tea, a crystal on the shelf. Mr. Pak, said Seo Arium quietly. Yes, thank you for the tea, not only. He nodded. He did not ask what else, for she would have said if she wanted to. He already knew sometimes it is enough simply to be there. Grandfather wrote about that. Now he understood.